There we go. Started out pretty slow this morning. It's Dalton, everybody. Back out here at Nacimiento, and right now I'm fishing a little finesse jig. Got my first little spotted bass here. This is a nice little finesse jig. If I could, trailer's all messed up right now, but that's a nice little jig. I caught him right there on the outside edge of that dock. Come here, buddy. Took me a while to figure them out, but they're hanging around those docks. Sometimes you get out here and you see a lot of bait, but you don't always get them around that bait. I think sometimes there's so much bait in an area that whatever you're throwing, they just they can't see it. There's just too much bait. I got out here this morning, there was a little bit of wind. Threw a chatterbait, no bites. Threw a buzz bait, thinking maybe on the top I would get a bite, no bites. Right now, it's this little finesse jig. I'll go over this jig with you in a little bit. I love this thing. I don't want to get me near that dock. I don't want to scare away those fish. This is a nice one right here. Boy, this would be a nice one for a tournament right there. Maybe close to 2 pounds on a jig. Jigs tend to get good bites, don't they? Man, that's a beautiful bass right there. Nice fat belly, all fed up. Good job. Thanks for hitting my line. This little jig has been the key, but the biggest thing is it's been docks today. It's been pretty much the pattern is they're tight to cover today. And the main cover today is those docks. Kind of a weird day, sort of humid, not much wind, no clouds. Sun's kind of beating down on me, but I'm catching fish. So guys, I want to talk to you about this little jig. It is, without a doubt, probably my favorite finesse jig. Super easy to use. It's a Strike King bitsy bug. This is a 1/8 ounce. Green pumpkin color. The trailer I'm using for it is a what is this? A Rage Baby Menace by Strike King. It's one of the little menace grubs, really small. Winds up looking like this after you get it all trimmed up. The way I use this thing is pretty simple. You're gonna have to forgive me about my throat. There is a fire somewhere, and there's some smoke that's getting in my throat. And like I say, there's not much I can do about it. Anyway, I cast this thing out Most of my fish today were caught around docks, but there's a few bites out in the open water as well. Once it hits the bottom, I just kind of lift my rod tip and I just scoot it along like this. I don't do a whole lot with it. Keep my rod tip up. Reason being, when they hit this thing, you don't always get that thump that you do with a jig. Sometimes they just grab it and hang on to it. I just lean back into them and catch them that way. The other way I get them is I put my rod tip down and I swim it right above the bottom, because you can use this as a swim jig too. In fact, if you know an area where there's a lot of bluegill, this little menace grub has a lot of action, and it'll swim along just like a little bluegill, and you can catch them that way. I'm using 8-pound test fluorocarbon. This is a light line technique for me. The little hook on this thing is plenty strong enough. I take my weed guard on this and I trim it down, but out here you could probably just cut it off. But if you're in an area where there's some weeds or grass, that little weed guard will help you out a lot. So this time of year, I'm going to start throwing more jigs, especially whenever they're not chasing as hard. I'm either going to throw like a heavy football jig out deep, or I'm going to throw a little finesse jig around the docks, up shallow, along the bank lines, and see if I can get them that way. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you next time.